Hello and welcome to our Forever World. I'm Tide and today we are upgrading our mine, adding in a super smelter and updating the mineshaft, in addition to putting a crane and campsite outside, which ties the whole thing together. Let's jump straight into it. Before I get started on today's video, I wanted to say a massive thank you to everybody who liked, commented and subscribed on the last episode. There was so much positivity in that comment section and it absolutely filled me with joy to see how much you are all enjoying what I'm working on in this world. And can we just talk about how great this is looking in here? I don't want to get distracted, however I think this ceiling might be one of the nicest things I have ever built in Minecraft. Of course, the smelter room is looking kind of ugly. Yeah, we've got a lot of work to do in here and I need to plan out where everything is going to go. The intention is that we have the super smelter on one wall and then I would really like this to have some sort of a automatic fuel source. Yeah. So I think we're going to go with something like a bamboo farm that connects up and brings all the bamboo into the furnaces as well. And I would really like you to be able to see that. So potentially that goes on this wall and then the furnaces go on this wall. So essentially what I was thinking is that from around here to here, yeah, like that, we would have all the furnaces on display, just a one high in the middle. And then potentially on this wall here, maybe we move this over one here, but I would like to have a view of the... In fact, we could push this back into the wall slightly. So that's recessed into this central column here. And I think that will work pretty nicely. And all we then have to do is have something similar with the bamboo in this area here. I've gone and grabbed all the items I think we're going to need to get started on this. We have the furnaces. I've grabbed a few droppers, some observers, pistons, pretty much everything I think we're probably going to require. And then what I'm thinking is we get started on mining all of this out so that we're actually ready to put in the builds. And I'm not too sure how we want this one to work because I imagine we're going to want some sort of a chest shelf to hold all of the ores. Well, we can think about that closer to the time, but for now we do need to tear all of this out. And the same for where the bamboo farm is going to go. That took a lot longer than I expected. And I just thought this was a minecart, another minecart, and some furnaces. No, this took a little more setup than I expected. So let me walk you through everything that we've done. We have the minecart up here that puts all the items into the furnaces. And when you turn this on, then it sends the minecart back and forth. And we can turn this off if we want to load it up. When this lights on, it means our hopper at the top is empty. So if I come down here and I throw in some cobblestone, that will get sent up and it should get sent into the hopper and this will turn off, which means we know that something's loading. Once that comes back on, we know that the minecart's now ready to distribute everything. So I'm really happy with how that works and how it's doing and have done a bit of a test. Now, the fuel side of everything, what I've been doing is working on this bamboo farm. Let me tell you, this was also not as easy as I expected. I thought bamboo was way better as a source of fuel than it is. And I'm thinking we need a second one of these on top because it's kind of subpar. And I didn't do the whole dried kelp thing because, well, you have to cook it and I didn't want to cook it. So for now, what I'm thinking is let's move on to actually decorating this. To start us off in here, I went ahead and added in the logs above our furnaces. And then I added a few trapdoors as well. Swiftly on from there, it was time to start on the custom decorative pieces, and for that, I went around the room with a few stone blocks, some stairs, and some slabs as well, which allowed me to run wild with my creativity and just have fun and make something unique. And ultimately, I'm really happy with how these turned out in the room. I feel that they add a style of Aztec architecture, and it just really rounds off the room as a whole. From here, I went in and removed the logs and moved them just one block over so that they were now aligned with the design itself. Then it was time to figure out what to put in these gaps, and I went with some stairs. I figured this would add additional depth and keep in theme with the rest of the design so far. And once that was replicated on the other side, I went over to the furnaces and finally blocked off the bottom area, which rounded off this part of the room as a whole. Now, swiftly on from that, it was time to actually start on the largest wall, and this was probably the most fun out of everything that I did in here. And essentially, I just had fun with it. I've been testing out how slabs and stairs interact with each other, how some blocks might not accept the slab on top of them, and how I can put stairs on top of slabs to create this kind of floating stair effect. And after that, I dropped in some more stairs and it all started to feel like it was building up to something. Overall, I think this has probably been one of my best experiences building in our Forever World so far. I'm really happy with how this piece turned out, and again it followed that same Aztec theme and ultimately created one of my favorite pieces that might exist in the world today. So let's get back to it. I'll see you guys in a second. I'm really happy with how the side of this room looks. I think it ties in with the rest of the design. Once we bring the roof into here, sort the flooring, and match this side, I think this is going to look so cool when you walk in here. You've got your big furnace set up in front of you, and then you have all of this on either side as well. I would still like to find a way to have the bamboo coming up through here and then deposit it over, and that might be something we work on at a later date when we expand this farm to make it more efficient. For now though, everything works as intended, and I'm actually going to distribute some wood now to see what happens. Yeah, some of the actual furnaces are lighting up because they've got a few bits in, and if we do that, we'll see all of it light up. It looks really cool. We can turn that off, and I'm just going to stop the fuel from going back and forth as well. Yeah, that looks fantastic. Let's replicate this on this side and we'll go from there. As you've already seen, this room it's come on leaps and bounds since I last showed you guys. We've obviously put in this side and the floor, the ceiling. I mean, it looks really good and it's tying in really well with the rest of the mine. Now, as you can hear, there's a lot of bamboo getting chopped. You do kind of have to jump around these, but I don't mind that so much. And I did go ahead and put in another layer to the bamboo farm. I figured it was kind of too slow. I mean, that was my fault for just thinking bamboo would be a good fuel source. So like that didn't happen. Yeah, I just thought bamboo would be a lot better than it was. But now we have got a second floor, and I believe we have about 42. Whoa, why is this slow-mo? Okay, let's get back to what we're doing. We have 42 bits of bamboo per layer and then 2 layers, so that's 84 bits of bamboo, which is going pretty quickly. And I can show you guys if I come over here. Oh, of course, I dropped everything off before I started. Let me grab some bits of stone from here, and then let's just yeah, just chuck all that in there. Some of these do get stuck, which is a bit infuriating at times, but for the most part, that goes in there, and then this should go all up into here. I'm sure I set this up so that the light goes off when it's empty. Oh, there we go. It's blinking. Oh, I think it's just going so quickly into the hopper that the light never changes. Anyway, we can shut this now, and if we turn this on, everything lights up. It looks so cool. We can just turn that off, and there is plenty of bamboo planks in all of these, and that should all start coming out into here pretty quickly. I think it's a huge upgrade considering, well, I've not smelted anything pretty much for the last couple episodes. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that's going. We have got a few more bits in here which we could use to decorate. I'm really happy with these side pieces. I feel like they almost have this kind of Aztec vibe to them. Because I mean, maybe I'm just a bit weird, but I see it almost like these are like the legs and they go up into the body. And then these are like the arms. They're kind of doing like some kind of weird dance. And then up here, it's like the head and he has these like horns coming off the top. Maybe that's just me though. And then obviously we duplicated it here. We have this piece, which this one doesn't have any weird memorabilia. Memorabilia? That's not the word. This one doesn't have any like weird significance or anything. It's just kind of a ball with some bits coming off it. But yeah, they look really cool when they're in situ. And we can turn on the fueling. So this will now start putting more bamboo planks and everything as it goes to and fro. And then what I'm thinking is now that this is finally completed, it's probably time that we should... Okay, I do really like the floor in here. However, I keep catching myself on it. So I think what I might do is try to make it so that there's always a designated route you can take that doesn't cause you to drop anywhere. So there should always be at least something connecting to walk on. Other than that, though, this has been... Yeah, I'm loving it. I hope you guys are really enjoying the build so far. This is probably the biggest project I've ever done. Not even just in this series, but like that I've ever taken on in Minecraft. So I'm really happy with how it's all coming together, and I can't get over the view that we have from here. It is really nice. Also, these shaders do add some really nice haze to it all. And so what I'm thinking next is it's probably time that we take on the mine shaft itself. I mean, we're literally building a mine, so the mine shaft is the most important thing. And what we're going to do is we have the rails set up. We have our... Do we have our button? I think I've destroyed the button. There is no button here. Okay, we need to add a button back on. But basically, this is set up. This is set up, ready to go. Basically, we can head down, we can head up. Also, if anyone points out that I didn't need to add a second minecart rail, whatever you call it. Yeah, I've just realized that too, because this one can just go up and down and up and down. I didn't need this one. It looks cool though. I'm going to keep it. Yeah, that's it. So we're going to work on the walls a little bit in here. And we're going to try and do some nice textures similar to what we did over here in the super smelter room. And then we'll do that all the way down to the bottom. And then at the bottom, I'm thinking we'll actually add in some kind of strip mine area where you can go out and start your strip mines. And we'll probably decorate those entrances a little bit. So what I think we should do, and I know we've just been in a time lapse, so please forgive me, but I'm going to jump into a time lapse and get all of this completed. And then once this is done, we can spend all of our time focusing on the bottom of the mineshaft. I am finally finished with the mineshaft. I could not be happier with how this has finally turned out. Everything is looking fantastic. I've put in some oak beams, as you can see just now, to kind of make this feel as if it's being held up. I've added in a couple leaves, some glowberries. I think this just looks really nice. I've also done a few bits on the floor, and I've started to put in a few decorative pieces as well. So I'm testing out these copper trapdoors. Oh, glowberry just grew. That's kind of cool. Yeah, so I'm testing out these copper trapdoors. I want them all to oxidize. That is so that it matches up with the blacksmiths up top, and hopefully just adds a couple tints of color into the build, but quite subtle ones. Then I've also got all of these strip mines sort of marked out where I want them. And I wanted to tell you guys, on this side, I've been using some slabs, and I've been a lot more sort of carefree with the use of stairs now, especially with how I've been using them on the floor. And I think this is starting to look really nice at making a more natural wall that feels almost as if it recesses naturally with all these sort of cobbledy holes and grooves and notches. It just looks really good. This is definitely the biggest build that I've ever taken on. I know we've done a lot on the starting island, and I'm going to let you in on a secret. That is all going to change eventually, but I mean, you know how long this has already taken me, and I do apologize for the time between episodes, but I hope you guys are enjoying them. And also, if you are enjoying them, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, comment. I love seeing what you guys all have to say, and I always try and comment back as well. So drop down your thoughts below. Now, with that said, I don't know how much I've obviously shown you guys, but from this angle, the mineshaft looks really, really good as well. And you can see that I've finally added in these copper bits just to add those kind of blue notches around the sides. I think it looks good personally. I've also been adding on some spruce trapdoors. You know we love those around here. And it does just look like nails have been kind of pushed into the wall and it's holding something together there. And I've even got these stairs that kind of feel like they're holding that bit up as well. They've been put there sort of specifically. They've got a job to do. Now, if I show you guys the way up, you can see we can just head straight on up the mineshaft, and we do go through a couple glowberry bushes, which is always fun. And at the top here, we then have our two sides. It just looks so good. I really hope you guys have enjoyed this so far, this build. I know this one has been a little bit quicker, but I've been trying to take you guys through everything that I'm doing and all the actual thought processes that go into this, because, well, I am actually starting to... That lantern is just in view. I'm actually starting to try and do things a little bit more off my own bat and just have fun with it. I'm not using so much inspiration now as I was previously, and I think it's helping to just add a little bit of my own character into the builds and just also have more fun. With all that said, we can finally come back through to the actual entrance to the mine. I know we did this in the last episode, but I have to say it is turning out really, really nicely. And I did put a vine here earlier on, which, let me just check there's no creepers. Yeah, I put these vines here to grow earlier on so that we can shear them and start a little collection of vines, because I know we enjoy using them in here. And then obviously we finished off the super smelter this episode, which I think is really good as well. I just love it. The whole thing feels so natural. All of the tiered roofs and the use of slabs, the various use of stairs, they make it look much natural. Much natural? That's not a word. They make it look much more natural. Yeah, had to slow down there to I'm just going all over the shop. What I'm trying to say is it looks much more natural than anything else that I've built, or anything else you get in Minecraft naturally. I really love that word. I think we are going to say that this is finally done and dusted, which brings me to probably the most important part of this episode, because you guys gave so much love on the last episode that I couldn't keep up. I mean, you nearly topped the most amount of likes I've had on a single video, and you far shot through the amount of comments that I've ever had. So what I'm going to be doing now is giving out all the diamonds, gold ingots, iron ingots, and I think it's high time that we went and did that. So I wanted to say a huge thank you to Bree the Unicorn for being the first commenter on the last video. Honestly, it means so much to me how positive you all were and how everyone seemed to really enjoy the video. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and comment down below as well. If you want to end up on the wall for the next video, the word is going to be furnace, so comment furnace down below and I will get you on the wall in the next episode. Without further ado, we also have Elle going on the wall with a diamond. Thank you so much, Elle. We have Simply Jessica's World getting a golden ingot. Thank you so much for all the comments. I also have Rochambo going on the wall with a gold ingot. Zach getting an iron ingot, and Lolo with an iron ingot. So thank you guys so much. It is the most amount of comments I've had on a single video where you've all commented the word. Don't forget the word for this video is furnace. And I just wanted to say thank you so much to everyone else who commented. There were so many of you all enjoying the video and all just being so positive. And it really does help me to keep going with this. This whole world is down to you guys and helping me spur on and keep on going. So yeah, thank you so much for that. And yeah, comment down below if you want to end up in the next video. But for now, I think we should get back to building. With the mineshaft built, I think it's finally time that we get around to building our campsite. And I also want to work on our crane. However, we are going to do the campsite first. I've gathered pretty much everything I think we're going to need for it. So let me show you everything we've got, and then we'll get into some building. Now, I've gathered up a bunch of stuff in here. As you can see, we've got all of our iron in case we need to craft any more chains, although I think we've probably got enough for a little while in here. I've gathered as much wool as I could. So I think we've got everything that we should need just here. First of all, I kind of wanted to come in here and have a little look around the place because we are going to be putting our crane up here, and the intention will be that it should overhang, excuse me, ever so slightly, and we'll probably be having whatever's on the crane kind of drop in around this location here. And let's just get rid of you and you. So we want to make this area feel kind of natural, but also we don't want to build on it, because if we build on it, then whatever we hang up here, it just won't look right. Now, where do we want to put our first few tents? I'm thinking tent-wise, we probably want one to come straight down here. So it might be something like there is one side of the tent. And then I'm thinking our tents will have a 3 wide interior. So the other side of the tent should be there. And we can either build it back or we can bring it forwards. The other tent, I want to go sideways around here. So I'm going to put in some blocks here to start with, and then add some here as well. So we've got the initial shape and placement for this. We could add another in, although I think a tent here and a tent here should be more than enough for our campsite. I'm also going to start putting in an area around here because we are going to have a little campfire, and I'm also going to put a stove in there with a cauldron, as if people are kind of cooking and making some meals. For the tents, I actually want to do a kind of wool shell, and the idea is maybe at least it goes back kind of 4 on each of these, and then obviously it's going to go up 1, and I'm going to use some spruce to frame each of these. So I'll bring this over 2 more, and we'll frame this as well, because I think that kind of looks nice. While I'm doing that as well, I'm going to put these spruce trapdoors facing this way so that the doorway just comes in ever so slightly as well. And don't worry, we won't be leaving these around. They will be picked up too. Now, let's get the next couple layers of these on. I might need to go get some more wool, so just bear with me on that. And then we'll see how these are coming together afterwards. This one's starting to take shape, and I'm really liking how they look, but the sun is setting and I'm pretty much out of wool, so I don't think we've got quite enough for this one. So I'm just going to go grab a little bit more, and we should be all good. Well, it's morning and I've not been over here in a long time, so I'm just going to come and shear all of you guys, and that should be enough. Excuse me. That should be enough for the tents that we're building over on our campsite. No, you're not getting out. Oh, and I forgot, we do also have bread and butter over here. They're having a good time. Let's go check on the other sheep. These guys have a much nicer pen than the other guys. Well, with all the wool, it was about time that I worked on the campsite. And to start off, I dropped in all of these fences. Now, I did make a couple mistakes along the way, as you'll see here. And I probably should have just stood on this from the very beginning, but you live and learn. Now, I tried to add the barrel on too, but, well, another mistake was made. And I quickly just moved on to adding all of the wool in for the walls of the actual tents. I wanted this one to be a bit longer, so I added on that back row. And then I got to fixing up the very front with the trapdoors. And finally, once those were in, it was time to just drop in the stairs as well. At this point, I was really happy with how these tents were coming together. There wasn't too much to them, so that really helped with getting these put together quickly. But once that was in place, it was pretty much just a case of adding on the wool for the rest of the tent and starting to work on the back area. For this, I just followed the same approach of adding in these fences, popping a barrel on top, which if you have spotted, it is slightly too low, but I did come back and sort that later on. Then I popped in those stairs and added our trapdoors, which I just think look fantastic. I found this inspiration online and I will try to tag the creator down below. I think these look fantastic alongside the mineshaft that we built, and it really starts to add some life to this area. Now, the other side, I wanted to do the second tent slightly differently, and for this I just used trapdoors rather than adding in the barrels. It was a little bit cleaner, but it also meant that there was some contrast between the two. And once I'd done that front side, it didn't take long for me to finish up the back as well. And with those taken care of, it was about time that I worked on the campsite itself. I added in a fireplace with some fences to hold up a cauldron. However, I wasn't so sure on how this looked, so I did actually come back and add in a few additional fences. The reason for this is that they now look like they're holding the cauldron up, and raising the fireplace up one block also made it feel a little bit more cohesive. With that together, I was really happy with how this was coming on, and I decided to go in and add a few stones to make this feel a little more natural than just the regular dirt that surrounded it. Now, I used a mixture of mossy stone and normal cobblestone for this, and after a final few touches, the place was really starting to come together. It didn't take much, but this was starting to feel really lived in, and of course, the next thing that we were going to need was some places for people to sit. I added in these log beams with a bunch of signs to almost feel like they were bolted together, and the ladders on the end felt like it was something just holding the log in place, stopping it from rolling away. I added in a second of these, and I couldn't be happier with how it was looking at this point. But I knew that there was one last thing we could do, and that was to add a kind of log area with a number of chests and some barrels, as if people might be leaving behind their tools after a long day of work, and also just as an additional piece of scenery that would tie the whole thing together. After this, all I had left to do was sort out the path leading to the mine and the campsite. I came in here and took out a couple of blocks and added in plenty of stone, ultimately making this place feel so much more tied into the mine itself. Now I've sorted out all the path from here all the way up to here and then going around to our camp. And the last thing that I did want to do just before we move on is I had a few bones in here, which I figured we could go around adding a little bit of grass and just see how that changes the look of the area. I don't want to do this too much because, I mean, as you know, we did a lot of trees in the area over there, and it felt a bit too cramped and a bit overgrown by the end of it. Now, just by doing this, I feel I'm adding a few patches of life around the place, which should hopefully help it to come alive a little bit and make it feel a bit more natural. Because obviously this looks overgrown in here, so if we have a few patches around here, it should tie in really nicely. And I really love how this is coming together. It's probably the favorite, or my favorite thing that I've built in this world so far, and I just can't wait to keep building more in this world and hopefully have all of you guys come along with me on that journey, because we have a lot more in store for this world. Now, I am going to get ready and grab everything that we need to finally start on this crane. And just like so, we were getting started on the crane. I added in some oak logs, followed by a few iron chains. The idea is that I wanted these iron chains to run throughout the entirety of the crane. So I towered up, and then I started to branch off sidewards, moving towards where the end of the crane arm would go, and hopefully where we would have the payload at the very end. Now, once these were all in place, I had to add a couple of oak logs to unite the chains. And I was super happy that I actually managed to place this one on the front first time after having made so many mistakes on the campsite earlier on. From here, I headed down and started to put the chains moving towards where the payload would be. Once that was in place, I started to get a real sense of scale and size for the build. Now with that done, it was about time that we finally added the payload. For this, I used an oak log with some slabs around the outside, and I did later on come back and move this down. The reason for this is because I wanted to be able to put some cobblestone on here and some mossy cobblestone to give the impression that this was actually being moved maybe onto a nearby boat or a vessel that might be taken and sold somewhere else in the world. Moving on from here, I headed up to the crane and started to add in some cobblestone and mossy cobblestone to bolster the bottom half of the crane. From there, I went in with some stairs and some additional oak logs. As I started to build up the central part of the crane, added in these spruce trapdoors to help hide the chains, and then went around the bottom half with these stairs as well. Once these were in place, it was time that I added in some additional stone, and I tried to blend this as best I could with the terrain around it. At this point, I felt like the build was starting to tie in with the rest of the mine and the campsite, and it felt like a central piece to what I had already started to create. Next, it was finally time to work on the central part of the crane. I went in with these oak logs and started to build up each of the beams one by one, making my way to the very top. I then went in with these fences as well, which helped to add a little bit of character to the build, and I really liked how these actually connected to the top piece of oak, which would eventually become our crane arm. I then headed down to the bottom, adding in these stone fences as an almost bolstering piece to the lower half of the build, but they also added some character and contrast with the varied bit of colour. At this point I knew we were going to need a counterweight, so I came in and started to work on something toward the backside of the crane. This slowly but surely took shape, and I eventually made a cobblestone ball which I surrounded with spruce trapdoors to feel as if the actual rock was being held together. At this point, I realised we were going to need some more chains, and I actually changed some of the earlier fences I put in to these stone fences with some cobblestone between them that allowed me to actually attach the chains to them. Okay, so you'll have to bear with me guys because it has started raining midway through this, but I think I've got something working here that's really cool. So what I've done is have some chains come in here that hold the ballast up on this side. And clearly the spruce actually kind of reinforces it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to build up diagonally until we meet this. Now to do that, we need a bunch of stairs, or a bunch of oak stairs, which we do have already. And then what I'm thinking is this will come off of the front here. So we should just be able to bridge up and wait until we get alongside the chain. Of course, the rain never did actually stop. However, I wanted to come down here and have a little look at how this is looking. And I think the only problem that I'm seeing here is that it feels that this needs something running along here as well. Potentially some more of the logs or just something to stern or strut this up. And then what I think is we add in maybe some oak into this as well, because this is feeling a little bit on the light side. We could even come up a little bit sooner here. Okay, I'm going to have a little play around and we'll see where we end up with that. Well, I could not be happier with how this has come together. I think we've finally got the mineshaft in a place where we wanted it, and now we have this crane up here alongside our campsite, which just feels lived in, and it feels bustling as if it's actually active. And you could imagine people coming from the mine, bringing up the ores, dropping it here. I just think it looks really good. It ties in really nicely with the blacksmiths as well, and we have a whole lot more to add to this space. It's just been 2 episodes working on this so far, and it has come leaps and bounds, and we have all of this area to work on next. We're going to be putting our dock in, adding in a little house to go with that, which should accompany the campsite. And then it's going to finally be time for us to work on the iron farm. For now, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's been really fun for me to record. And once again, I have to thank you guys for all of the support in the last video. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, please like, comment. I will reply to all of you, I promise. But for now, that's going to be me, and I'll see you guys in the next one.